Hi, Shannon Waller here, and welcome to the Team Success Podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that a lot of business owners do, a lot of team leaders do, and that is that we make our team guess what we're thinking. We don't give a lot of explanation. Sometimes we walk around with a very serious look on our face, or we don't want to tell our team things until it's all sorted and it's all clear and you have all the answers. But there's a real problem with that. And here's what happens. So I want you to imagine you, someone else with whom you work, they're working on something. It looks intense. Their face is serious. Their body language is kind of focused and not uptight, but you know what I mean. And you start to wonder, especially if you don't know what they're up to, you start to wonder what's wrong. And that's exactly what your team does. They will guess, probably wrong, unless you're planning their demise. That could be, in which case they're accurate. But that's kind of what they're worried about, by the way. They're worried that their jobs are at risk, that the company's in danger, that you're going to lose a big client, that somehow the security and the stability that they count on are eradicated somehow. That's what people around us are worried about. So there's a real danger here that I think some of us are completely oblivious to. We're in our own little world, our own head, and some of us have a fairly serious thinking face. There's a few expressions that I can't repeat on air. People have a resting face. And I know I'm a fairly serious person. One of my favorite compliments is lighthearted, serious-minded, but sometimes the serious-minded comes out more. And if I don't think someone can see me, my face looks pretty solemn. So I know I can definitely be guilty of this. I know other people can too. But we need to remember that we're always front stage with our teams. And it's really important that we don't scare them because we're in a position of leadership. We're in a position of power. So what we look like matters and how we come across really matters. So people will guess incorrectly what we're up to. They'll also almost always guess negative. They will guess that it's some catastrophe in the making. There's something really bad happening. Either their job or someone else is at risk. Again, the things I've heard are quite dramatic. And it's like, oh my goodness, we're trying to decide where to hold the next meeting, out of the office or in, It's like not that earth-shattering a decision. But it looks, from our faces, it looks like a really big deal. So it's really key, again, that we're kind of aware of this. And if you're a team member listening, please educate your entrepreneur on this one. If you're a business owner or a team leader, again, be very conscious of how you're coming across. And in fact, even team leaders can fall into this trap with their teams. Teams walking around super serious, super focused, and like, is everything okay? All of us can have this concern. So the bottom line is to not make people guess because they'll guess wrong. They'll guess negative, so far worse than we think. And we really do have to, as my awesome mother, Marilyn, will tell me, tell your face. Tell your face when you're happy. Tell your face when you're interested. Some people have a very flat, what's called flat affect in psychological terms. Our faces don't have a lot of expression. I kind of realized quite a few years ago that this could be me, especially if I was being serious and intent on something. So what I started doing was actually kind of animating my face, which sounds really odd. But sometimes people couldn't tell when I was happy. They couldn't tell when I was sad. They couldn't tell when I was excited. They couldn't tell when I was irritated or whatever. So now I'm kind of an open book. I'm pretty transparent. It's really tough to not know what's going on with me. I don't shield a lot. It's very open. I consider emotions to be a valid part of entrepreneurial life. They sort of educate decisions. They educate thinking. They certainly educate mindset. And other than certain circumstances, it's pretty easy to tell what's going on with me because I really value being genuine. I really value authenticity in myself and in others. So I need to model that. So that's what I do. Now, if I'm super worried or stressed about something that could be concerning, I will try and process that backstage because I am aware of that my front stage is important and it makes a difference. So the bottom line here is really about transparency. I really appreciate when companies make even their challenges open to their company, open to the team. And they say, here's what we're up to. Here are what the potential challenges are, especially companies that are innovating or doing something risky. I really love it when they openly communicate with their entire organization. Here's what we're up to. Here's what I think will work. Here's what could be the dangers. From what I understand about Tony Hsieh, who's CEO of Zappos, he's pretty straightforward and pretty clear with the direction they're going, including the pluses and the minuses and the potential costs. I really like that. Recently, I've had the phenomenal opportunity to hear Jeff Holden, who is the Chief Product Officer at Uber. They do a number of different things in alignment with their mission, which is to make transportation as reliable as running water everywhere for everyone. And regardless of your position on Uber, they have a culture in their organization, he was saying from stage at Abundance 360, that they're working openly on autonomous vehicles. Well, last time I checked, they had a lot of Uber drivers. But the drivers, I mean, I'm not saying they get every strategic initiative from head office, but they're aware that this is what's going on. They're aware of what could potentially threaten what they're doing because it's all in service of the mission. And sometimes the results are hard, but again, because everyone knows in advance and because everyone is part of what the mission is, they can absorb the challenges and sometimes the blows much, much more easily than when it's a complete and total surprise. It came out of the blue. It's shocking. So again, transparency is as much of value, I think, for companies as well as for individuals. So this will be a really short podcast today. But what I want to let you know is to really be aware of not making your team guess what you're up to, what you're thinking. Because again, just to wrap up, they'll guess wrong. They'll guess negative. And when you are happy, when you are excited, be sure to tell your face. It's a great way to make sure that people are buying into you, that you're not kind of distracted or being backstage with how you're coming across, that you're really aware that your team is your audience and they count on you for confidence. They count on you for excitement. They count on you for stability. So the more you're able to present that to your team, the better. Thanks very much for listening. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know at questions@strategiccoach.com. And as always, here's to your team success. Hi, Shannon here, and thank you very much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please take a moment to rate the Team Success podcast on iTunes. And we'd love it if you'd share the podcast with anyone else who could benefit. If you're interested in learning more about the Strategic Coach program for entrepreneurs, visit us at strategiccoach.com or the Strategic Coach channel on YouTube. For free downloads and more team success strategies, visit teamsuccesshandbook.com.